Hi, it's Dave, and thank you very much for clicking through to the video again. We're counting down to the launch of the new H. Pylori website. I'd also like to thank you for the comments that you've been adding to the page beneath the videos that we have here. And I just wanted to address some of the questions that you've been asking, because one of the things that's clearly been coming up time after time in your comments is that you kind of have a ton of different symptoms going on and your doctor's not really helping because they're not running any tests. And this is incredibly common. In fact, the previous video I mentioned the 5 biggest problems with H. pylori, and problem number 3 is that, guys like you, people are walking around, they have symptoms day after day, month after month, even year after year, and sometimes for decades, and they never actually get the right test to actually find out what's wrong with them, what's actually the root cause of the symptoms. And so I wanted to just spend 5 minutes or so explaining why that is, but also giving you the tools so that you can actually have a test kit land on your doorstep within the next 2 or 3 days, if you want to, that may well be the missing piece in the jigsaw puzzle to help you get better. It's also really highlighted the fact that I haven't been communicating this previously well enough, because we want to try and get as many of you better as we can, and the testing that we run is one of the primary tools that we that we use to do that. And so thanks again for your comments. Without them, we wouldn't be talking about this particular subject now. Okay, why don't doctors test? Well, the number one reason there are several reasons, and I don't want to go into them because they'll be boring. But one of the main reasons, probably the number one reason, is that doctors are not taught parasitology at medical school. Now, H. pylori is just the tip of the iceberg. It's one of probably 30 or 40 different digestive infections that I have seen in clients over the last 3 or 4 years. I have seen microscopic parasites like Giardia, Cryptosporidium, Endolimax nana, Blastocystis, Entamoeba histolytica, and more. I've seen worms ranging from hookworm to pinworm, to threadworm to whipworm. We've seen tons of different bacterial organisms: Salmonella, Vibrio, E. coli, Campylobacter, as well as H. pylori. And then there are different types of yeast and fungal organisms that can get in. Now, the basic premise with all this is that actually all these bugs have the potential to cause pretty much the same symptoms as one another. The problem is that doctors are not taught about any of the bugs, probably apart from H. pylori. And I might be doing a lot of doctors a disservice here. I'm talking about the medical system in general. I'm not trying to badmouth doctors, because you would agree with me that they do a great job with very difficult circumstances that they work in. But the fact is that they are not taught things like parasitology and bacteriology at med school, and they don't look for these little critters inside your digestive system as a major cause of problems. But all the IBS symptoms, heartburn, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, etc., can all be caused by these bugs getting in and taking up residence in your digestive tract. Now, the testing I run with my clients was actually developed through agricultural technology rather than medical technology. And I'm hoping to interview the guy who actually designed and developed the test fairly soon, so that you can listen to him firsthand explain how and why these testing methods were developed. But to cut a long story short, we use stool samples and we look for the DNA of these parasites and bacteria and what have you, rather than using old school parasitology detection methods, which are things like just looking under a microscope. And the testing we use is about 5,000 times more sensitive than the conventional testing. So if you have a lot of symptoms, you can, as I said earlier, you can actually have one of these test kits arrive on your doorstep within 2 to 3 days and actually find out what is going on with your with your symptoms, what the underlying cause is. It's not always bugs that cause problems. You can have digestive symptoms because of food. It's pure and simple. Gluten, cow's milk, soy, sugar, and various other foods can actually cause huge problems in your digestive system. And again, there's a massive overlap between the symptoms that the foods cause and the symptoms that the bugs cause. What we generally find is that it's a combination of the two. It's, on the one hand, it's some of the foods that you're eating. On the other hand, it's the bugs that you have. Okay, it's a combination. And so what we find is that many people who have digestive symptoms and seemingly unrelated symptoms like fatigue and difficulty sleeping and mood problems and energy slumps and all these different things that people have these days. We find that once we get the diet fixed and we look at some lifestyle issues and we also find what bugs they have and get rid of the bugs, the symptoms go away. Now, in one person, it might be mainly the foods that are causing the problems. In another person, they might get rid of the foods and it might not change their symptoms very much, and it might be the bugs that we need to consider. But if you attack both sides of the coin there, if you look at the foods and you look at the bugs using the testing and then the fancy protocols we have to help you get rid of those bugs, what you will find is that in 90% of the cases the problems and the symptoms go away very quickly. Now, to illustrate that for you, I've actually included, you can actually download a very recent case history of mine working with a wonderful lady in the UK here. And I've just worked with her by phone, as I do with many of my clients internationally as well as in the UK. And we found that she had not only H. pylori, but she had 2 parasites and a yeast and fungal overgrowth. And what we did was we worked on those systematically, and most of her symptoms have now gone away. We've managed to clear 1 out of the 2 parasites, the yeast and fungal overgrowth, and the H. pylori is gone as well. And she feels like a new person. She'd had these symptoms for 70 years. And nobody had ever run the testing, the simple testing that could actually determine why she didn't feel well. So that technology is at your fingertips. There's an investment on your part because these tests are not covered by insurance and they're not covered by things like the NHS in the UK, although hopefully at some stage soon in certain hospitals and in certain clinics they may be. Okay. If you want to find out what's going on and what's causing your problems, you've got to do the homework yourself. You've got to take matters into your own hand because a lot of the doctors simply don't understand this work. It's not anybody's fault, it's just that it's not part of standard medical education, and neither is nutrition. You know, doctors are only taught 1 to 2 days worth of nutritional information in their entire 5 to 7 years in med school, okay? And we know that the foods can be absolutely profoundly influential on your health. So please take all that into consideration. There's a couple of links that you can look at underneath this video window, as well as Maggie's case history that you can download and read, where you can actually access some more information on the testing. And I want you to have access to this stuff as quickly as possible so that we can help you get better in the shortest period of time. Just a quick reminder that next week I'm going to be interviewing 3 real leading experts in the field of alternative health, Dr. Jeff Moss, Laurent Bannock and Justin Smith, and we're going to be talking about some really cool topics, mood issues and how they relate to digestion. We're going to be talking about cholesterol, and we're going to be talking about stress in a lot of detail as well, and how that all can impact on your digestive system. So if you don't know already, my name is Dave Hompes. We're counting the days down to the new website launch, trying to help as many people as possible. Please pass this information on if you know anybody who could benefit, and I'll see you on the next video. Oh, and one last thing, feel free to email us with any questions and make sure you post your comments below. Thanks very much and see you soon.